So here we go. Most people think that if you divide a joy, it gets smaller. But in the economy of the soul, sharing is the only math that multiplies. When we share, we aren't just transferring a thing. We are inviting someone else into our vibration. So we must remember that. So let's go over that again. Most people think that if you divide a joy, it gets smaller. But in the economy of the soul, sharing is the only math that multiplies. When we share, we aren't just transferring a thing. We are inviting someone else into our vibration. So, are you keeping your peace to yourself? Or are you brave enough to let it grow by letting it go? You see, we have to remember that. Sharing is not that you're dividing it and making it smaller. It's the way the soul responds. Now, history has taught us that when we share, it gets bigger. So let's use me as an example. I can speak for myself on this topic really well. If I have all of these thoughts, for some reason, I was that kind of person that was grounded in the moment to listen. Sometimes the cadence of somebody's voice would get me to look at them again. And when I look at them, it's not what they said, but it's the sound and the rhythm and the vibration of their words that pull me, not the words. Is how they come out. So I started noticing that I had that unique ability to feel that vibration from sound. And then I started observing deeper. I can't fix that. That doesn't help you. That makes you feel like you're constrained. So that is why nobody has taught us that when we divide our joy, it gets smaller. That's not true. That's what they said. They taught that to us. And most people believe that. Most people think that if you divide your joy, it gets smaller. But in the economy of the soul, sharing is the only math that multiplies. When we share, we aren't just transferring a thing. We're inviting someone else into our vibration. So, if you have the vibration of contentment and peace, and you see somebody flapping around like a wild bird, it's just something you can say to bring them down. Or are you going to just walk away and ignore them and let them deal with this horrible, horrible feeling? So, yesterday we talked about giving. Physical. Giving is always physical. Sharing is bringing in. So sharing is in that space that you are, that situation that you have, that garden I have, that I love to share, not to show off, but to say this is it. And I will talk to people who say, Tessa-Marie, I live in an apartment. And in this apartment, that is the talk. And this apartment, I only have a small space. And I can't do this. And I can't do that. I can't plant flowers. But you can plant it in a pot. I helped my cousin Jean transform her balcony with a carpet, outdoor, indoor carpet, 2 lovely chairs that we pushed and shoved into my car, and a little table and some plants, and then she could sit there and enjoy her tea, say her prayers in the morning. It was so amazing to see how she enjoyed that space. But she also had the window where she could put a plant and let it bloom. So I encouraged her to feel that space instead of saying, I wish I had. So that is sharing. It's a difference than giving. We need to understand sharing. Sharing is that person that says, I got a deal over there. Lisa, my friend, takes me to places to get special things because she has been there and she's sharing that opportunity to hear you, that place, you might get this, and that's it. I love to share my environment. I love entertaining. I really love to entertain. My idea of entertaining is preparing all of the food, making it interesting, making it comfortable, sitting on the grass, taking corn and put it on the barbecue and putting special spices on it, making egg rolls out in the open, doing all sorts of cooking a soup on the barbecue because my neighbor said to me, what don't you make on the barbecue? I do everything in the summer on the barbecue. And that is what we have to understand. Sharing is being inclusive. You notice what the heading is, the radiance of sharing. When you share, you bloom. When you share and somebody enjoys it and you're watching and you're feeling their vibration and how they enjoy this, your face glows because you're seeing somebody. And it's not only sharing your space. You can share your knowledge. Like I said to my cousin, come on, of course you can make that balcony of yours your special little garden. And before you knew it, she had it completely gone crazy with tomatoes and herbs and things she puts in there. So this is what sharing is, seeing something, enjoying something, and sharing it. My favorite character is Scrooge. You know why? It's the transformation that he got that intrigued me. I can watch that movie and learn something all the time. The family with Tiny Tim's family, they didn't have a lot. But they shared each other. They shared. The father carried him. They shared. They did things. Scrooge had a lot. And he looked like he was dry like a fig after it has sat and ready to be eaten. He was wrinkled and crinkled and mean, and he just was a humbug and all of these words. He wasn't sharing. He couldn't share. He was angry at life itself. And it had to take a vision of a version of where he would end up to get him to go, hell no, I don't want to go there. I don't want to be like my friend over there, chains and walking around lost. And then he realized he needed to do something. And the transformation came, and even the housekeeper almost ran away, fall down the stairs, all of that. Remember that. He started to share. And he became exuberant, and everything around him bloomed. I'm not talking about the sharing of giving. I'm talking about the sharing of your wholeness. The sharing of the joy that you get into encouraging others to push them forward to succeed. You have done something for yourself, and it works magnificent for you. You observe your friend being challenged by simple things. Sometimes it's bending down to lace a shoe. Sometimes it's bending down to do something. Sometimes it's not able to reach something. But you know a tip. So if you do, why do you sit there as a human being and watch that other human being being challenged by this thing that we all can do for each other, which is just saying, would you like to try this? I do this. That's how I do it. And it works. And it's easier. That is sharing. You remove a couple bad knots in that person's day. And that it is. Nancy said, yes, I'm making it look good. They say so much is about the presentation. It is. I don't know Nancy personally. I know her vibrationally, and I know her emotionally. All of you, most of you, there's just a few of you that I know personally. And you guys know you. But there's so many of you, your vibration has touched me. What you do. Marina travels to see her mother away in Europe, and she posts pictures of beautiful things and buildings and sceneries. So now I know she sees more than what is not there. She sees what is there. I understand that. I see the beauty of that. And I see she finds it so enticing. Hey, I can share that. And that is what it's all about. It's not keeping it for yourself. If I give it, I won't have. If I show you how to do this, then I won't be able to do it. People would hide their recipes and don't give it. Today you can find those recipes gallivanting all over your head. So what is it that makes you have an idea, you have a thought, you have a know-how. You know how to thread a needle, and the blind person is sitting next to you and you ignore them. But what about you showed them how to put a little bit of candle wax on the end of the thread, which makes it a little stiffer, and then you can push it through the eye of the needle. What about that? Oh, I'm so glad now I can mend my stuff. Radiance. The radiance of sharing. Sharing is something that is not like giving. Giving is here, I have this, you may have it. Sharing is here, I know this, let me show you how. Because most of us go all through the world and we're looking for the how. And many people say to us, just do your best and the how will come through. Which is true. You do not have to sit there and say, how do I do that? You have to sit there and say, what do I do now? And that is when the miracles come falling in. But if you are a person who has some knowledge or an environment or just to savor life with this person, and you're sitting there and you're on it and you're not giving it a break, you're not letting it breathe, like they said, are you keeping your peace to yourself? Or are you brave enough to let it grow by letting it go? You see, when we let our peace grow, that's when we say, here you are, do this, think like this. I have never shut the door to a question that I have an answer for. I have never pursed my lips and walk away saying, I'm not doing that. Remember I told you guys about this woman. I asked her to show me how to do something, and she said, you'll figure it out. That was her ways. And I go, wow. That's all I could do, wow. You see, for sharing emphasizes the spiritual and emotional pillars by focusing on vibration and multiplication. Sharing and giving, we kind of take it, and we kind of try to piece it together like mental prosperity and emotional prosperity. We think they're the same. They're not the same. Mental prosperity is being able to recollect what you have studied and apply it appropriately at the right time. Emotional prosperity is realizing how you react to what you have seen, heard, smelled, taste, and touch. Different. Giving is saying, here you are, I have this. You can have it. I have one too many. Or do you need this? I can give you mine. That is giving. Sharing is, I know exactly where you can go to find this. I remember when I was challenged by this situation you're going through right now. And this is what I did. That sharing. So we have to understand the difference in these two vibrations and realize what they are. You see, one of the things I know for sure about sharing is the joy it brings the giver. Nature, poets, great and amazing human beings, way above my intellect, will tell you a little bit of fragrance stays on the hand that gives the rose. That person will be walking away and they will remember. If they haven't learned to share, they won't share. But if you observe that you have shared all you have with someone and they're not able to enjoy it, but criticize you for having the ability to share air with them. My neighbor at the back, we have a lower fence at the back. I see them all the time. I knew his mom, his grandmother, and they lived there. So I'm outside and I can see them and they can see me. And I know that of course they can grow a vegetable garden, but they don't. That's not my business. But when I have this harvest of tomatoes and kale and all before the rabbits came, I would call them and give them some over the fence. The last time I was doing egg rolls outside, and I had spoken to them earlier that day. They asked me how was the spring and all of that. And then I called them when I was doing it later in the afternoon, and I gave about a dozen. And he came back and he said, "You need to teach me how to do this." And he said, "I will take another dozen, please." And it was fun. But you could see he jumped the fence. He's in his late 50s, 60s maybe now, just to say, "Show me how to do this." I felt good. I felt really good. There was nobody else there but me doing this because I felt to do it so that when Jillian and Vanessa came to visit, I can give it to them. But I shared with him, and then I taught him how to do it. He told me he tried it, and he just couldn't believe how amazing and different it is from what you buy in the store. So that's sharing. You say I gave him, but I shared the knowledge. I could say, "Oh, I don't have time to teach you like that lady told me." But I chose not to be like that. I remembered Scrooge. Until he started giving, he couldn't dance a jig. He couldn't. And that is one of the things we have to remember. Like, I remember in the summer of last year, spring, Nancy would make this huge sourdough bread. And they were so scrumptious looking. All I could see is put a whole pound of butter in them while they're hot and eat them. And she would take it to her neighbors. They didn't ask her for it. But she knows some people do not like or cannot or are not good at it to bake. And if she has it, why not share it? I know people who have homes. And one lady told me once, "I will never give anything from my garden with somebody who has a house because they can grow it themselves." Wow. And you go to church and you get communion and you believe it won't melt in your mouth because you're so kind. No, you're not. So this is what we have to remember. Whatever it is that you know, knowledge, my father told me very early, is not yours to keep. What you know, you must teach. It's not ours to keep. What we know, we must teach. We know what Mahatma Gandhi did, but did you know it was Thoreau, the philosopher of all those years ago, he learned that from. Then Martin Luther King took it, and Nelson Mandela let it grow when he came out of prison. You see, what you know, you have to put it out in the world for others to do. Don't hold it. You're stifling it. And what is stifled cannot grow. We need air. Plants need air and sunshine. Our environment needs air and sunshine. Our knowledge, our wisdom needs to spill out of us So it makes room for more to come inside of us. So we are always satisfied and we look radiant and we feel good and we help others. When you're putting yourself in to be there, to share, to do that, the helping is giving what you know to somebody else. I did that and it worked. Would you like me to show you? Oh, over there, it's on sale. I heard you saying last week you wanted this. I just saw them on sale. Sharing is something that was always done in community as we grew up. In the times when everybody lived in a compound that belonged to the entire clan. Whether they lived, if you look at the Braveheart and all these movies, they're depicting the time of old. What do you see? Structures where families gathered. I grew up in Citronia. My father's business and home and all of that was there. My grandmother and my uncle was walking distance from there, like a few steps. It was always community. My aunt was lower down. Always community. The biggest one is, excuse me, the Shillingfords with my father and their brothers and sisters. They were attached to each other constantly. You never knew who would you see coming to the house. And they were all together. I was explaining to Curtis that when Milton is in Toronto and he was here for a while, we would go to the lake and just sit there and don't even talk. And then Curtis said to me, that is like Daddy and Uncle Ivan. They would just sit and no speaking. That's the vibration was bringing them close together. You'll get one. And this summer you can come. They can bring them close together. They grew, they shared, they didn't compete. They never competed. The one that was better at that did it, and the other one did the same. That's what we have to learn. All of us that are sitting on all we know and all we have, like a hen on a set of chickens. Be careful you don't get too heavy and you crack those eggs you want to hold. Sometimes we hold our wisdom so tight that we end up dry like Scrooge and we do not know. The very essence and radiance of our body disappears. Have you ever looked at someone who will, and really look at them? They don't look like that. But because of their energy and their vibration, it makes them look like they cannot open up and breathe. That doesn't mean they're not nice, but are you drawn to that human being? Can you give them a hug? Does their hug feel like a hug? No, they cannot do that. They cannot say, I love you, unless it is something romantic. But we need to say goodbye by saying, I love you. Because we do not know when it will be the next time, if we are allowed to have the best time. Somebody on TikTok yesterday sent me a note. And the note said, you are amazing if what you do, even on your worst days. So, of course, you know me. I laughed. I did not respond. You see, I do not have any days that are bad. Every day is the best day of my life. Every day when that alarm goes off at 4:15, it's the best day of my life. Because you see, I have a chance right there and then to choose to be that special person I love about me. The person that is open and giving and sharing. That person has a chance again to correct yesterday and make today better. Although we really cannot correct it. But mentally, we will feel like we can correct it because we're not going to repeat it again. So, sharing is understanding that today is the only day you have. And when you are getting into your twilight years, you have to recognize that. And when you are in the years where you're preparing for your twilight years, you have to understand that. So, I'm in my twilight because in a couple months I'll be 80. I'm already there. But what you see when you're sitting at 18 to 45, like all of my followers on TikTok are, or those that are younger than me, the preparation to take your radiance that you're carrying now is now to get it ready for later. So, yes, you have all the time in the world. This world, this moment, that's all the time you have in the world. So when somebody says, I have all the time to do this, it's this time. This time to share, really recognize and share, because that is important. Giving, sometimes we expect it to be reciprocal, but sharing, there's no chance they can share the wisdom, the knowledge, the know-how. Do you know you do that even in your career? Like Betty. She does mortgages and loans and homes. She can. She shares. She can tell her client what's the best move for them instead of letting the client go and fall and trip. You see, honesty in business is sharing. Taking somebody and allowing them to trip